Hello and welcome to an updated version of our Mantis videos. This particular updated version will deal with how to switch your language profile in version of the Mantis 2.6 or above. The reason we're doing this is because some of our videos are a couple of versions behind and there have been some significant changes, and I wanted to kind of have a very brief video about how to change that. So let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, I just want to kind of give you a heads up that this video will assume familiarity with the machine. So it assumes that you know where the next thumb key is, the enter, that what cursor routing keys are, and all of that kind of thing. So just to reinforce that that's not going to be something that we're going to deal with too much today. It's just the process. So right now, the default language for profile for the Mantis, right now the default one is set to read me everything in uncontracted Braille. I don't necessarily want that. I don't want the menus in uncontracted Braille. I don't want anything like that in uncontracted Braille. I would just really want it in English UEB. So when your Mantis arrives, that might be one of the first things you do aside from connecting it to Wi-Fi and things like that, which we'll also review in a different video. But this is how you're going to change the language profile. So before we do that, I want to make sure I'm in the main menu by pressing my main menu button, my round button on the front of the unit a couple of times. And now I notice that it says editor and it does say it in uncontracted Braille. So that reinforces the point that I need to change my menus. So I'm going to press the letter S to go to the settings menu. I could also press the next thumb key until I reach the settings menu. Either way works, but realistically this is faster. And then to confirm entry into the settings menu, you're going to press either an enter key or a cursor routing key. The first option in the settings menu is user settings. We're going to just go past that by one. So the next one is pressing our next thumb key to find our language profiles. And we're going to press enter to open that menu. The first thing I see is the word default, and that's the name of our current language profile that's active. And I know it's active because it has the 7 and 8 dots along the bottom. It's sort of underlined, and that's just sort of a way of letting you know that it's selected. There's some things I can do in this language profile if I want, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a new language profile. That's the easiest way. I could change this one or whatever, but I want to add a new one so that you go through the process. So I'm going to press a next thumb key and it'll say add add profile. Press enter or cursor routing key. And then it's going to ask me to name it. I'm just going to name it my name, AMY, because that's pretty easy. And to confirm, I'm going to press enter. Now, the first thing it's going to ask me is what Braille grade do I want to be the default Braille grade for this profile? I want it to be contracted, but right now the Braille display says it is uncontracted. In order to change it, I'm going to press enter or cursor routing key, and then use my thumb keys, my next and previous thumb keys, to make a choice. My options are right now uncontracted is in focus. If I hit my next thumb key, I'll see contracted Braille is an option. If I press thumb key again, it'll say close. If I press my thumb key again, it'll say computer Braille. And if I press my thumb key again, it will say uncontracted. We're right back to where we started. But I want contracted. So I'm going to press a next thumb key followed by enter or cursor routing key. Now it says on my display, Braille grade contracted. Confirm. Good. That's what I want. To go to the next setting in this area, I'm going to press the next thumb key. And this setting says computer Braille table. So when you change the computer Braille table or any of the other two Braille tables, there are three obviously. So there's computer Braille table, the uncontracted Braille table, and the contracted Braille table. You set all of them here. So anytime you have that, it's going to ask you if you go in there to change it. And I'm going to go into the computer Braille table just to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to press enter. And the first thing it's going to give me is English. That's the language. I could use my next and previous thumb keys to scroll around the other options. So here's Estonian, and here's Farsi. I'm not sure what that is. So I'm going to go back to English because that I know. So I'm going to go back to where it says English, and I want to press enter or a cursor router to confirm. And now it says it's going to give me another choice. It wants to know, okay, you want English. What kind of English do you want? So the option that's selected here is English US, LibLouis. And I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to use my next and previous thumb keys to move. So I'm just going to confirm by pressing enter. Now my Braille display says computer, Braille, table, English, US, and if I would have used my panning key, it'll continue and say LibLouis, whatever. But I'm gonna just go. So I'm going to press my next thumb key, and now it says uncontracted Braille table, English, panning key here, English US, Duxbury grade 1. I know that that's what I want. I don't want to enter this and make any changes at all. So I'm going to go past it by pressing the next thumb key. Now, my Braille table, my Braille display says contracted Braille table, English, UEB, Duxbury grade 2. I'm going to go into that by pressing enter because I want to see what my options look like. So I'm going to press enter, and it's going to present me with English. I know that's the language I want. So I'm going to press enter to confirm that. And now again, it's going to give me some options. So the first thing it says is English UEB Duxbury grade 2. Next one, it says English US Duxbury grade 2. So I'm going to go back to where it says English UEB Duxbury grade 2. That's what I want, I'm sure. So I'm going to hit enter, and my Braille display is going to tell me again, contracted Braille or contracted Braille table, and it's going to tell me what I chose. Perfect. So here's another different part. So I'm going to press next. And it's going to say content voice, Sharona. I don't have headphones plugged in right now or anything. So I'm just going to leave this. Speech settings are actually in a different location in this menu. So making this change really isn't so big of a deal right now. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to press my next thumb key, and it's going to say save, and I'm going to press enter. And then now I'm presented, I'm right back in my list of Braille profiles, but guess what? I have the word default, which is underlined still. And I'm going to press my next thumb key. Here's my name, Amy, but it's not underlined. That means the profile that I just created is not selected. So to select it, I'm going to press enter. And now it's underlined. It's kind of hard to tell because the name's kind of short. But so now I have some, again, I'm moving forward with my next thumb key where I could add another profile. I could configure a profile. I could choose anything like that. Now, this is what I meant by I could have gone back and configured my default profile. I can delete a profile is another option here. And again, I'm going through the menus by just pressing my next thumb key. And then the next option is back. So I could go back in the menu. So, and then I'm presented with the word default again. which is not underlined, telling me that the profile exists, but it's not active. So I hope this has been helpful as far as configuring your Braille profile for you. Please let us know in the comments if you have any questions or if you think we have some other content that we could offer you. Thanks and have a great day.